Top 10 quarterback rankings for the upcoming 2024-2025 NFL season. In 2023, NFL fans across the league were lucky to see some incredible quarterback play. However, some teams' quarterbacks are objectively much better than others. Today, we will be talking about the best of the best and breaking down the top 10 quarterbacks from the 2023-2024 season heading into this season. At number 10, starting off the list is Justin Herbert. Despite playing through a good chunk of the year with a fractured right index finger and eventually having his season cut short due to the injury, he still put together a great season. While the Chargers struggled as a team with injuries and an aging core to a 5-8 record with Herbert as a starter, he still had a very solid season individually. In the 13 games he played in, Herbert threw for 3,134 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Even though he missed a considerable amount of time, he still ranked 18th in the league in passing yards, 17th in passing touchdowns, and 5th in QBR. While he lost a fair amount of offensive weapons in the offseason, Herbert should be primed for a bounce-back season this year, along with the addition of a new head coach. Next up at number 9, we have Jordan Love. Heading into the 2023-2024 season, many did not know what to make of Love as it was his first year as a starter after backing up Aaron Rodgers for 2 seasons. Despite a shaky start early on in the year, he led the Packers on a tear through the back half of the season, even making the playoffs. He started in all 17 games of the regular season, throwing for 4,159 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Love was ranked 7th in passing yards, 2nd in passing touchdowns, and 9th in QBR. In the playoffs, he continued playing at a very high level, leading Green Bay to a dominant 48-32 win over the Dallas Cowboys before falling in the divisional round to the San Francisco 49ers by a final score of 24-21. Love far exceeded even the highest expectations that were set for him coming into the year, and it appears the Packers have found yet another franchise quarterback. Jared Goff comes in as the 8th best quarterback from the 2023-2024 season. He played an enormous role in the Detroit Lions' rise to prominence last year. He and Amon-Ra St. Brown proved themselves as one of the most formidable quarterback wide receiver duos that the league has to offer. Goff started in every regular season game the Lions played, leading the team to a 12-5 record. Along with this, he threw for 4,575 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Goff finished the regular season ranked 2nd in passing yards, 4th in passing touchdowns, and 11th in QBR. Detroit had a magical run in the postseason, taking down the Los Angeles Rams 24-23 in the wildcard round, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by a final score of 31-23 before coming just short in the NFC Championship game and losing to the 49ers 34-31. Goff and the Lions were just 1 or 2 plays away from making the first Super Bowl appearance in franchise history. If a few things go their way in the postseason and their passing game continues to be one of the most dangerous in the league, Detroit could be a real threat in the 2024-2025 season. After an electric rookie season in 2022 where Brock Purdy went from third stringer who was selected with the final pick in his draft class to a starter, he had an immense amount of pressure on his shoulders. He was expected to lead the Super Bowl-ready roster and continue to deliver on the promise he showed the previous year. He did just that, leading the team to a 12-4 record in 16 regular season games that he started. In that time, Purdy threw for 4,280 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions while leading the league in touchdown percentage and passing yards per attempt. Even though he missed 1 regular season game, Purdy still finished ranked 5th in passing yards, 3rd in passing touchdowns, and 1st in QBR. This earned him the first Pro Bowl appearance of his career. In the postseason, the 49ers took down the Green Bay Packers in the divisional round 24-21 and snuck past the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship by a final score of 34-31 before falling just short in overtime to the Kansas City Chiefs 25-22. Once again, the 49ers will enter the season as Super Bowl contenders, and with another year under his belt, Purdy may finally be ready to lead the team to glory in 2024. Next up at number 6 is Tua Tagovailoa. Since the Miami Dolphins acquired the wide receiver Tyreek Hill, the two have become an unstoppable pairing. Tua was able to play through a full regular season for the first time in his career in 2023. In those 17 games, he led the Dolphins to an 11-6 record. Along with this, he recorded 4,624 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. Tua ranked first in passing yards, fifth in passing touchdowns, and 10th in QBR. This earned him the first Pro Bowl selection of his career. After putting together his greatest regular season yet, Tua and the Dolphins' Super Bowl hopes ended quickly with a wild card round matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs, where they fell behind by a score of 26-7. While the Dolphins likely will not be Super Bowl contenders by any means, if he can stay healthy, Tua will continue to be one of the best statistically performing quarterbacks that the league has to offer. At number 5, C.J. Stroud. After being the second quarterback off the board in the 2023 season NFL Draft, C.J. Stroud proved in his rookie year that the Carolina Panthers fans may end up spending the better part of the next 20 years forced to watch the player their team passed on thrive. Coming into the year, many did not expect Stroud nor the Texans to really do much. However, they both went on to demolish expectations. In 15 games that Stroud played in, he led the team to a 9-6 record while throwing for 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. He had the lowest interception percentage in the entire league at only 1%. Along with this, Stroud finished 8th in passing yards, 13th in passing touchdowns, and 15th in QBR, despite only being a rookie and missing 2 games. This electric season earned him a Pro Bowl appearance, the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, and he even finished 8th in MVP voting. Not only this, but he also led the Texans to a playoff berth just one season removed from being the second worst team in football. Houston killed the Cleveland Browns in the wild card round by a final score of 45-14. However, they ran into a buzzsaw in the divisional round, taking on the Baltimore Ravens, where they were defeated 34-10. The sky's the limit on what Stroud can develop into. We have not seen a rookie this good from a quarterback in a long time. With the Texans acquiring Stephon Diggs over the offseason, C.J. Stroud could even be gunning for MVP in 2024. Coming in at number 4 is Dakota Dak Prescott. Despite turning 30 in the 2023 season, Prescott had one of the best seasons of his entire career. He played in all 17 regular season games, leading the Cowboys to a 12-5 record. Prescott and wide receiver CeeDee Lamb were a fearsome duo who likely will continue to torment opposing defenses in 2024. Dak led the league with 410 completions and threw for 4,516 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Prescott ranked 3rd in passing, 1st in passing touchdowns, and 2nd in QBR. This earned him a spot in the Pro Bowl and on the All-Pro second team, and he finished 2nd in MVP voting. However, after an extremely strong regular season, things soured up quickly in the postseason, where the Cowboys were stunned in the wild card round by the Green Bay Packers by a final score of 48-32. Coming off an elite 23-24 season where he ranked near the top of the league in almost every passing metric, Prescott could close the gap and even bring home an MVP in 2024. At number 3, despite the 2023 season being a roller coaster of a season for the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen still put together a very solid season that keeps him in our top 3. In the 17 games he started in, he led the Bills to an 11-6 record. Along with this, he recorded 4,306 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 18 interceptions through the air, along with 524 yards and 15 touchdowns on the ground. He finished 4th in passing yards, 5th in passing touchdowns, 3rd in QBR, and 4th in rushing yards from a QB, and tied Jalen Hurts for the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback. In the wild card round, they took down the Pittsburgh Steelers by a final score of 31-17. In the divisional round, Buffalo matched up against the Kansas City Chiefs and were just one field goal away from pushing the game to overtime. However, they fell by a final score of 27-24. While the Bills did lose Stephon Diggs in the offseason, Allen will still continue to prove himself as one of the league's most promising talents at the quarterback position. Coming in at number 2 is Lamar Jackson. Jackson came into the league as the highest paid quarterback in NFL history after an offseason of contract negotiations. He held up his end of the bargain and performed at an arguably the highest level of his entire career. He led the Baltimore Ravens to a 13-3 record in the 16 games he played in. Along with this, he dominated the game both through the air and on the ground, continuing to prove why he may be the most talented dual-threat quarterback that the game has ever seen. Jackson finished the regular season with 3,678 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, along with 821 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground. Jackson ranked 15th in passing yards, 11th in passing touchdowns, 4th in QBR, 1st in rushing yards from a quarterback, and 5th in rushing touchdowns from a quarterback. This earned him a spot in the Pro Bowl, a spot on the All-Pro first team, and he took home the MVP award. The Ravens clinched the top seed in the AFC and in the divisional round torched the Houston Texans by a final score of 34-10. However, they were narrowly defeated in the AFC Championship game by the Kansas City Chiefs. Jackson and the Ravens were just a couple of plays away from making a Super Bowl appearance, and if he is able to replicate his performance from 2023, there is no doubt they will be contenders once again this upcoming season. And to no one's surprise, rounding out the list as the best quarterback of the 2023-2024 season heading into this season is Patrick Mahomes. While the Kansas City Chiefs had a roller coaster of a year filled with distractions, they were able to right the ship when it mattered the most. In the 16 games he started in, Mahomes led the team to a 10-6 record, the worst of his career. He still threw for a very solid 4,183 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. Mahomes ranked 6th in passing yards, 8th in passing touchdowns, and 8th in QBR. When taking into account the receiving core he was playing alongside, it makes these numbers even more impressive. These stats earned him a spot in the Pro Bowl, and he finished 7th in MVP voting. However, he caught fire in the playoffs. In the first round, they picked up a dominant win over the Miami Dolphins by a final score of 26-7. However, for the rest of their playoff run, they had to fight to the last second to come out on top. In the divisional round, they defeated the Buffalo Bills 27-24. And in the AFC Championship, they took down the Baltimore Ravens 17-10. This matched them up against the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. This matchup was one of the closest in Super Bowl history, only being the second one to go to overtime. However, Mahomes did what he does best and stepped up huge in the clutch, giving the Chiefs a 25-22 win. While some quarterbacks around the league had better stats than Mahomes in 2023, he beat and outplayed the best of the best when it mattered most. With some intriguing additions at the wide receiver position, he could go back to dominating the league on the stat sheet as well as in 2024.